You're stuck behind the mask. There's two men that live inside of you. The man that you want to be and the man that you're showing up as. Who is that man? Who's the man that keeps showing up looking for permission? Who's the man that keeps taking over, fucking up your discipline, fucking up your routines, causing these stories inside your head telling you that you're fat, you're inconsistent, you're lazy, whatever it is that you are, weak, hesitant, indecisive? Who is that man? The truth of the matter, he is you. He is you. He is the version of you that is most dominant right now. He is the safest version of you. More oftentimes than not, he is the kid version of you. Let's get right into it. The nervous system was not made to thrive, it was made to survive. Why? Why did the Most High install that within us? Because our flesh was made to keep us alive. Our flesh doesn't want to know death. Our spirit knows that we could transcend death. Our name could echo through eternity. If you know where that's from, you're a fucking G. But our flesh does not know that. And what does that prevent us from? It prevents us from doing dumb shit, like jumping off a bridge and fucking offing yourself, on accident, on accident. So now we have beliefs that keep us attached to who we're currently acting as, to the men that we don't want to be. That's called the old man. The old man, he creeps, walking in the back of your mind, manipulating you in times you don't want to be manipulated. Why? Because pressure reveals the gap of who you say you are and who you're acting as. Okay? Right now, you're wearing a mask. I opened up this video taking off my glasses. You are the man behind the mask. You are the man behind the shades. You're the man behind the shade. You're acting as the new man. You're acting as the man that you want to be, right? You are double minded, okay? You are double minded. You are a double minded man, and a double minded man is unstable in all his ways, okay? That's something you have to understand. There's two men living inside of you right now. No Diddy. The old you and the you want to be. And the you that you want to be is capable of having everything you want out of life. The problem is that you've been performing him for so long, you've programmed your nervous system unknowingly that he is dangerous to be, because every time you're him, you're going against your old OS, your old operating system. And now being him is a danger to your survival. So now you're tense. Now, every time you're disciplined, it feels like unbearable, feels like suffocation. Why? Because you're suffocating who you actually are. The guy that you don't like is who you actually are. The one that deals with imposter syndrome, with feelings of, I don't know who I am, I'm unworthy, I have the physique, I have money, but I'm still like just this guy who feels like there's something still missing. That is who you're showing up as. That is who you are. Because as you think, that's who you are. Your thoughts, they create your reality. However you view yourself, your perception of yourself, that's what's keeping you stuck in your life. That's what's keeping you feeling incomplete as a man. Ironically, you're imperfect, which leads to perfection, which is not an unbeatable standard. Only the Most High and His Son can do that. It's about a standard where you're able to consistently hit that leads you to feeling whole without you staying dependent on anything in this life. Some of you guys have things that other people need, are desperate for, but you don't think twice about whether you're going to get them or not. You are abundant in that area of life. But then in other areas of life, you're not quite as abundant. And it's because you've attached so much meaning to that area of life that now that area of life is associated with pressure, and pressure reverts you back to the man that you don't want to be. Now you recreate your own cycles because the identity, the man that you're showing up as, is an act. So now you see success, you almost break through, or you do break through, but you can't actually ever sustain that. Sustaining that is much harder than proving that, because when you prove something, Then you get to take off the mask and go back to who you used to be. But when you sustain something now, you have to walk into being that man every single day, and the weight of that responsibility is so heavy on your shoulders. The pressure causes you to revert back to who you are. See, the reason you're really double-minded, the reason that there's two men living inside of you, no Diddy, is because you have been performing for so long, you don't know actually how it is to be yourself. You have been split for so long, warring between the two versions of you, that now your nervous system doesn't know which one to trust. The one you're consciously trying to be, or the one that subconsciously takes over your mind. You're able to keep being that new man sometimes, but then other times you know he's good, the old man is gonna come in. So the catch 22 is all the pressure that you put on yourself and all the shame, all the shit talking from the inner critic, all the you ain't shit, see, I knew you were gonna fuck up, see, all XYZ, however it is, crazy talk to yourself. You reinforce your old cycles. You reinforce yourself with guilt. Now you feel guilty for being the man that you really want to be, because being that man requires you to abandon who you are, then really accept who you're meant to become. See, the old man is really like a scared child. You know, he's a child that's been hurt. He's been a child that's unseen, which is really why you're afraid to be the man that you want to be, is because you're unseen. Because probably when you were a kid, you were insecure. There's people around you that knew you were great, but that you were too much to handle, that you did too much. I'm sure you've heard that before. You're crazy because you have the self-belief that they didn't. And now you feel ashamed of who you actually are. So now you need to perform being him. But then you revert back to the uglier parts of you, the parts that you don't like, because you hyper focus on those parts. Because really, like I said, you have an abundant mindset or abundant identity in some areas of life, but other areas of life where you weren't really that successful growing up, you're scarce. Which it could be money, it could be women, it could be athletics, it could be your physique, whatever it is, whatever it is. You have now created a traumatic story around those events that's keeping you stuck in the old man, keeping you stuck where you don't want to be. And now every time you succeed, you can't handle that success, you self-sabotage, and you're warring within yourself instead of integrating, instead of accepting who you are. All the ugly parts that you don't like, the timidness, the hesitation, being scarce, those are all the parts that make you you. And these are identity level beliefs, okay? When you reject who you are, you're gonna reject the women that you want. You're gonna reject the clients that you want. You're gonna reject the friends and brotherhood that you want. You're gonna reject everything around you because you reject yourself. But when you accept who you are, even the parts of you that you don't like, and you say to yourself, okay, I could work on them and get better, but I'm not gonna hate myself for it, which is what a lot of self improvement is built upon: self hatred, self punishment, unnecessary suffering because I hate myself so much that, now I feel like I have to be something that I'm not. You create your own cycles. Create your own cycles of self sabotage, and you make it worse because you shit talk yourself. You are two men living in one body that is a constant war, and you spend so much time negotiating with yourself. You can't ever actually make a decision, and you show up indecisive and hesitant because you're warring instead of accepting who you need to become. Instead of letting go and making peace with that old man, you've been so programmed to chaos, to pressure, that you don't know what it's actually like to be at peace. You don't actually know what it's like to not be warring within. So now, when you finally accept yourself, that calm is uncomfortable. You may have problems being still. You may have problems feeling restless. Why? Why? Why do you feel guilty when you rest? Because the truth is, you're at war with the parts of yourself that you hate and the parts of yourself you want to embrace. But the only way you could embrace Those parts is when you embrace who you are unapologetically. And that is an identity level belief. When you're able to shift the way you view yourself, so then you can get the virtues that you want: confidence, boldness, authority, leadership. Once you get those virtues, then you begin to attract the tangible things that you want: women, money, power, status. You even get presents right before that. Once your identity and your virtues start lining up, you start getting presents. It's not about what you wear, it's not about the jewelry, it's not about the earrings, it's not about the haircut. It's about how aligned are you and your word. That's it. That's it. How often are you saying what you're going to do and getting it done? How often are you keeping that new man protected and choosing him rather than choosing to betray yourself by allowing the old man to manipulate you? And the only way you allow the old man to manipulate you is when you reject him and you try to perfect your way to being the new man instead of consistently putting on the new man, consistently choosing to be him. Because at the end of the day, you get to choose who you want to be.